Hello, everybody. This is John and Ben again, and this is our second introduction into Sweetspot Safari. Today, we're going to talk a bit about how we met and the background on each of us, so you've got some broader context on a bit of the why we're doing this and understanding us, the people. So my name's John Coburn-Evans. Originally, I'm a process engineer. I've spent most of my life working in engineering and manufacturing in the corporate world, very large companies. Had a lot of fun designing things and building things. And then later on in my career, in the early 2000s, I started to go on a bit of my own personal journey through a series of coaching and leadership courses and try to discover myself. And what I found out was that far from being just left-brained, and that was very much the way I saw myself, you know, I loved science as a kid and engineering and everything else, and being process-driven, that actually there was another side to me. There was a more creative side that I hadn't really fully explored. And I started to do that, and it was really quite interesting. And what I realized after a number of moments is that I'd almost created my own paradigm for myself, my own box that I put myself in, that I was a sort of left-brain techie engineer. And it was only when I went on this voyage of discovery, I realized actually I wasn't. And I also got some very interesting feedback from colleagues around the world. And one wonderful guy who's unfortunately passed on now, Jim, who said, "John, you're the most un-engineer-like engineer I've ever met." So that was really my journey, and that triggered me to start doing other work, being a bit more creative. I went into consulting and coaching. I do a lot of leadership work now, which is great on cultural transformation, working with very senior leaders and business owners on how to transform their organizations. And I was lucky enough even to do a few keynote speeches and wrote a book back in 2021. And that's what excites me now. That's what I get energized about. And, you know, during that process, I actually met my good friend, Ben, here about 5 years ago through the Institute of Directors. We sat in the same group on the same panel and done a number of webinars and events and stuff. And we realized that actually we had quite a bit in common, and that the sort of commonality was that, and Ben will go into more detail when he introduced himself, is that we were both generalists, right, in a very sort of tight and specific work, and we found our own sweet spot there, which was really great. And that's really the genesis of what we're doing today, and we want to share that with you to try and hopefully help you, because we want people to find their own sweet spots at the end of the day. But we will go into that in more detail when we do the third introduction and then actually get into the meat of the discussion. So I've said enough about me, so I'm going over to you, Ben. So please explain your background and a bit of how we met and how you see things and where you see this going.
Yeah, thanks, John. I think that that set the scene really, really nicely. And yeah, one of the many things I love about you is your interest in so many different domains, that you have insights, you know, not just in one specialism, but actually relevant for so many different areas of life and work. And yeah, we've just had really great conversations over these 5 years. And I guess the way that we want to frame this is that we're in Sweetspot Safari, we are both sweet spot hunters. And you know, John, you mentioned that you're a generalist. I think I'm a generalist also in a specialist world. I currently do several things: social designer, I'm a tutor, facilitator, give talks on cognitive diversity. But I'm also just trying to figure out how to be a human in a world built for machines. I really don't find it easy to fit into neat boxes, but I do really care about finding sweet spots. Those things, you know, those moments in life and in workplaces that things feel effortless. And I guess the selfish reason for starting this is it's a voyage of discovery, really, to learn about what factors are optimal for me right now. And I think people change, you know, at different stages in life, and reflecting on a few you know, personal experiences, counterintuitive ones actually. You know, why did school put me off learning when I was 18? Or why did the health service actually worsen my health problems quite often? So these were questions which stimulated curiosity for me. And then a few years ago, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and we tend to think of ADHD as a mind which is permanently distracted, but that's, you know, wrong, because I can be hyper focused, but I can also be mind wandering, which are two opposing states. which then makes me question, is all focus good? Do we need to be focused all of the time? And is all mind wandering bad? And it's not black or white. Actually, context really matters there. And in general, I'm just interested in how our thoughts and our brain more generally creates the world around us, which then in turn shapes us. And we can, feel that quite viscerally with the new digital environment which we've created. So where I am at the moment, just to sign off, is that I just really don't think that we understand humans that well. We're both more complex and straightforward than perhaps we realize. And we're also more diverse yet similar at the same time too. So looking forward to really looking at Sweetspots through the human lens as we go forward. That's really it from me and John, your Sweetspot hunters, and look out for the next introduction, which we go into more of the how we will go about running this Sweetspot Safari show. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.